Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Jen here. 61 days left in the year. 61 days. If you haven't started yet, you have 61 days to finish 2025 strong. What great comments I got on my last video where I highlighted some of my goals from now until the end of the year. Seems like a lot of you are kind of doing the same thing. So I got you. I'm here to support you. I'm also here to update you on how this week has gone so far. Today is November 1st, so I'm not a full week in yet, but I really just wanted to sit down and talk about some of the things that went really, really well this week, some eye-opening things. But if you are new to my channel, I have to say I've lost upwards of 90 pounds on a GLP-1. I'm on compounded tirzepatide. I'm on 5 milligrams. Today is actually shot day. So not only do I have a hydration goal, I'm sticking to my hydration goal, ups my protein a little bit more. There are certain things, even 2.5 years in on a GLP-1, I still in the back of my mind make sure I follow. But I'm gonna put up on the screen what my goals are from now until the end of the year. And I am going to give you progress checks throughout this video. I'm going to go layer by layer and just talk through all of them. But what I think was really interesting about this week, what you don't see on there is like true nutrition goals. And what I found is that I know what my protein goal is. I know around how many calories I like to consume because I do have a weight loss goal. So that means I should be in a calorie deficit. But not having this like need to hit 140, 130, 150 grams of protein every day and kind of feeling like I don't want to say trapped, but like I know the importance of protein to the point where I don't need it to be a goal. I also don't feel like if I don't get 140, if I put that on my goal, that like I failed in some ways and I only got 130. Like to me, that is still such good progress that I didn't want to include that on there because I didn't want to have like this specific number to hit when it came to like nutrition. And I think going into this week, I was able to just settle in really well with my eating. And I made an amazing crock pot beef stew. I had some pulled pork nachos. And then I also had I made some chicken thighs with a little bit of barbecue seasoning on it from Mission Barbecue. And I quickly grilled those up, cut them up. I put them also in nachos. And you're probably like, girl, why are you eating nachos? That doesn't sound healthy. Well, one, you can make anything healthy. And everything also in moderation. But I use the Siete dip chips. I shredded my own cheese. You don't have to do that, but I love my shredder on my KitchenAid, and I also have one of those old school blocks. And I had some peppers, and I just made very simple, clean ingredients with the right portions. I didn't load up on the Siete dip chips. I just had, I think it was 16 was the portion. And I felt like I settled into the week eating that it felt so good to not have to like track every single thing right now. And so let's go ahead. Let's get into the very first thing, which is steps. And so I went out of the park. I don't want to say guns a-blazing, but I said it. But I went into this saying, find some more movement throughout the day. And I think there was good days and bad days. And I'm not saying you're probably like the bad days weren't that bad. But what I mean by that is I'm aware of some of the pitfalls on certain days of being able to get steps in, especially during the workday. But, I work from home most of the time. But this week I did go in one day. So I knew going into the office, which was on Thursday, I was going to have to make sure, and the weather was awful here. Oh man, it was torrential, windy. But then all of a sudden there was like this, the sun came out in the afternoon. But I felt like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I brought the walking pad out. I walked my dog. I walked to and from the gym. So I was able to consistently get a decent amount of steps in those days. But then Thursday rolled around and I really had to, because it wasn't a gym day. I had to go into the office. I did take my dog on a nice little walk. I was mindful that probably on Thursdays, I'm going to fall a little bit short of, say, if I wanted to do 10,000 steps that day. I'll make it up the other days. I'm not going to get a walking pad for one day that I'm in the office like every other week. I may borrow my coworkers when, she's not using it. There's things that I can do. Also, I know this isn't for steps, but there also is like a boot camp class that it's free for us at the gym right across the street from us that a lot of my coworkers go to. So I'm like, maybe I'll do that and switch some things up. But I finished at 49,241 steps. So just slightly under, if you were doing an average, slightly under 10,000. And this is Monday through Friday because today hasn't ended. It's a Saturday. So I'm not going to put in my step total for today because, well, it's only 4 o'clock and I'm at 8,500. So I'll probably get another 2,000 or 3,000 steps in, walking my dog, me going for a little walk. But I think having the step goal is allowing me to notice that I was not moving as much during the day. So, I brought out my walking pad. I got up a little bit more. My watch is now telling me to stand up every hour, which I need. I never thought I would have to have reminders to stand up, but I get so tunnel vision at work. But I'm just finding the right times to bring my walking pad out during a meeting or when I have to read a bunch of stuff. I notice times where I'm not very good at walking and working. But yeah, overall, very good with the steps. Let's go ahead and let's get into my strength sessions. So right now I'm sitting at 2. Tomorrow will be my 3rd. I'm trying to do 3 a week, but I had 2 in. My personal training session went extremely well this week. I feel like that addition has been so rewarding and so motivating and just giving me ideas and keeping me on track. And I'm learning more and more about different forms of movement that we're incorporated because we're doing a lot of supersets. So, I'm doing maybe some heavier deadlifts or squats. But I'm also doing some mobility work and hip strengthening things thrown into the mix as well. And I'm taking some of them home with me. And I promise you guys, I would be recording those sessions. I planned to record this past Tuesday and I forgot to charge my camera. It's not the end of the world, but I will definitely be recording some of those sessions. But I think this is one of those things where I know that there's going to be a time where I may only be able to get 2 in, but I know I could do 3 or 4 on other weeks. And I love having the flexibility of not saying, check off the box, you did 3 strength training sessions this week. So like making my goal 3 a week. I like how I have this total that I can get from now until the end of the year. And who knows, maybe I surpass it, but that's not the goal. I want to hit my goal of being able to get 27 strength training sessions in. So I'm sitting at 2. And I know I probably should prioritize these differently, but I'm just going based off of how I presented it the first time. So I did get on the scale. I weigh in on Fridays, but when I started this, I weighed in on Monday. And I am down, it was like 1.9 something pounds. So I'm just going to round it up. I lost 2 pounds this week. I saw no change in my body fat percentage. Was not expecting that to happen. I also saw a slight little increase in some lean mass, couple little areas that I'm just going to watch the trends that you're not going to be able to have any dramatic changes every single week. But I'm looking forward to seeing what that is at the end of the year in total during this little Finish 2025 strong little program I'm doing. But so I've lost 2 pounds and I feel like that was one of those things where I know I followed and did everything I needed to be able to lose those 2 pounds. I'm not surprised by that. I'm not looking to lose 2 pounds every single week. I have no expectations of that. I'm probably going to have some zeros and I might have a 1, but I think this might be the largest total for me to lose in a week. But hey, you never know. I'm not doing anything extreme. Now the next one, oh man, I want to talk a little bit about this, my snacks. So currently I'm sitting at 0. And let me tell you, I never in a million years would have thought making something as simple for me, now, not a medical professional, not a therapist, I can't tell you what works for you. But when I made this little goal of 9 snacks, you allow yourself some like treats 9 times till the end of the year, gives me flexibility on Thanksgiving and Christmas and just like little parties and events here and there. I never thought that it would, I don't know how to describe it, mentally, like make me mentally strong to say no. And what I mean by that is I didn't worry about it too much on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I was still like in the, yay, I'm doing this little, finish 2025 strong, got all my goals. I'm still like, in the honeymoon phase. And then I went into the office. And I was surrounded by catering from Chipotle and pizzas. There was donuts. There was Halloween candy everywhere. We have a fridge of the most amazing sodas, and like ice, you name it, we have it. And just the smells of food wafting in the office all day. And I remember like I was, just went down to the lunchroom briefly to talk to a couple people around lunchtime. And I'm just seeing all of it. And I was like, oh, those donuts look really good. Should I have one? Or, well, what if Halloween's tomorrow? I'm like, okay, today's Thursday, Halloween's tomorrow. What if I want to indulge in something on Halloween? I just don't know could there be something better? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't even really, they looked good, but I don't really like Dunkin' Donuts. No offense if you guys like them. But I'm like, why would I? And then I'm like seeing cookies and brownies and I'm like, they look good, but wait, do I really need it? Like, I'm not hungry. I have my lunch. I have everything planned out. I feel really good. And I think mentally my brain was like, no, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough for your snack total to add one to it. And then the same thing happened yesterday on Halloween. I'm walking around doing a couple different things and people are like, oh, giving out candy. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to put 1 down out of 9 for my snacks for a little small box of Milk Duds. No, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that for a little Crunch Bar. And I'm cracking up and I'm telling people this is what's happening and they're all laughing too because everybody I'm talking to about, I know them. But like, what an interesting thing to have going on in my head. That snack is not good enough for me to add a 1 to it. And so right now I'm currently sitting at 0. 0 out of 9. I actually didn't have anything on Halloween because you know what? I didn't feel like I wanted anything. And I felt like if I was going to have something, it would be just to have it. And then I'm starting to think to myself, that's my problem. I will eat it just to eat it. It doesn't give me satisfaction. I don't even want it because like there are things that I actually want. And I didn't have access to those because I'm not at an event. I'm not, putting on a party for friends or family. It's not a holiday. Like, I don't need a treat every single day. So once again, I'm only now 6 days into this. I will let you know week by week if this little mindset of mine is going, but I never thought doing something like that would have such a big impact on me. And it's fascinating to think about. And then the next one is going to bed by 10 p.m. Every night. Once again, it's been 6 nights into this, and I had one curveball come my way. I kid you not. It was Wednesday night, and I am exhausted. I don't know. It was such a long couple days at work. I am wiped out. I can barely keep my eyes open, and it's like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm watching something. I'm forcing myself to keep my eyes open. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go lay down. I'm going to get Rosie tidied up, everything, and I'm ready to just crash. The fire alarm in my condo building went off at 9:40, and I'm like, no. And assess the situation. It's pouring out. So I'm like, okay, I don't think there's an emergency. Nobody's screaming anything. We have our little group of us that text if there's something going on, and we're all in different areas of our building, and so far nothing. So I didn't deem an emergency. I still get ready as if I have to head out, but it shut down about 7 minutes into it. It was a little bit of a false alarm. It was a trigger from like a faulty box that we learned, pull down thing. And so the downside of that is that because they have to manually turn it off until there's a little process that has to be done, that it chirped like every 5 minutes for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, I have to be in bed by 10. I almost had to put a 1 there. I don't think that really necessarily would have counted. But it is still when you look at it at the surface, 10 p.m., but I almost had to put a 1 down because of that. But thankfully, I'm still sitting at 0. And having that routine, I think, as I said before, there's a lot of information out there, not only about like meal timing and stuff, but like ending your meal so that you digest it about 2 to 3 hours before your bedtime. So it works perfectly with me to have a 10 p.m. bedtime. And then just having a good wake up time, like you're syncing your rhythm, your circadian rhythm, you're syncing everything up. So your body just can run optimally. I truly believe that. I feel like when I do think that way, it really helps with my sleep. I had excellent sleep scores. Just overall couldn't have been a better week for sleep and sticking to that bedtime. And then the water. The last one I'll talk about is my water. And I never thought, once again, going back to putting that number, just one, like putting a little piece of tape on my 40-ounce tumbler would really help me, because it can go either way. When I was talking to my trainer, I was telling him, I was like, I would always be thirsty, but not like alarmingly thirsty that I needed to talk to my doctor about it. But I just have always been somebody that just consumes a decent amount of water. I do put some electrolytes in the morning to like replenish. But I never like thought like I would be that person that's like struggling to drink water, not thinking about drinking water. And next thing you know, it's the end of the day and I've only had 60 ounces of water, which is unlike me, and I could feel it. And I was telling him the only thing that has changed, because I'm the type of person, when you have, even with like when you're on GLP-1 for weight loss, when you have certain side effects or certain things that are happening, I'm like, what I like to do is I like to take a step back and see, did anything change? So I'm thinking to myself, this has been going on, this feeling like my thirst has been drastically, I'm just not thirsty, I'm not thinking about drinking water. Like certain things are just not triggering me to think, well, go get some water. And that's unlike me. So like I know that sometimes with, Mounjaro compounded tirzepatide, Ozempics, the Wegovy's, like the semaglutides, like GLP-1s as a whole, they can in some ways suppress thirst, but I never experienced that on there. So I'm like, I don't know if that's a new side effect all of a sudden that I have. And then I told him, I was like, the only thing I've changed was I've added creatine. And so he said, creatine can affect people in different ways. For me, it is probably the opposite of, you typically hear increased thirst. But for me, it has actually suppressed my thirst a little bit. And being on creatine, I have to also make sure, more than a GLP-1, that I am hydrated. So I thought that was interesting to hear that in some ways, possibly creatine, and we'll see, I'm only a couple weeks into this, which is when I started experiencing it. So we'll see if maybe that's something that will eventually just subside, or if it's something I just have to be aware of. But I don't mind tracking water. I don't mind, the only thing I have to be aware of is I'm not drinking too much too quickly. Next thing you know, I've had like 120 ounces of water and it's like 4 o'clock and it's like, you're drinking a little bit too much too quickly type of thing. But yeah, so I think there's absolutely nothing I need to change. My dog's about to huff because she hears somebody outside. You might hear some growling or grumbling. But did you hear something? Where is he? You good? She's good. But I think that I felt as if I settled into this week, and I said that earlier, very, very well. I have no complaints about this program. I have no when I tried like 75 hard, or I try some of these other things, I feel like when I do something where it's like, you must do this every day, you must do this, every week, that like sometimes, and you have too many of them, sometimes I can do them, but I get very overwhelmed. And I don't feel overwhelmed by the goals that I have set. And I think that means that I put together a really good program for me from now until the end of the year. But yeah, I'm going to keep you all updated. I'm going to do little weekly updates like this. I'm going to do a what I eat coming up very, very soon, like a little day in my life as I, try to just keep finishing each and every day stronger than the day before. I also have some fun little topic videos coming out. If you didn't see my last one, I did, and I did it again this week. I am loving. So I use ChatGPT a lot for work. And I've used it off and on for various things in my GLP-1 weight loss journey, but I've really been enjoying putting in information about meal planning and just giving me ideas and just giving me little guidelines and just putting like saying like, okay, if you want 400 to 500 calories, this is what it could look like with these foods that you're telling me. And I'm loving doing that. And I'm loving, and I think that's why I'm happy I didn't do like a true nutrition goal. But I'm loving getting back into making different things to eat. Like I had that beef stew that was unbelievable, and I have a little bit more left in the freezer. I currently have a crock pot going of some meatballs and sausage. I'm also tomorrow going to be making a honey garlic shredded chicken in the crock pot. I'm just getting back to making some simple, fun crock pot meals that I can have during the week. I can freeze a couple of them to bring them out. So I'm just having some variety while I also do keep in my boring staples that I absolutely love, especially my breakfast, my mid-morning snack, and my lunch. I tend to keep them around the same. But I want to thank you all so much for listening to me ramble about my past 5-6 days. Well, today's day 6, so really the 5 days where I am in terms of my progress. And comment below how your week went. I know some of you set some goals for this week. Let me hear below how your week went. Did you have to make any changes to it, or do you feel like you're set with your plans from now until the end of the year? Love to hear from you all. But if you enjoyed today's video, please take a second, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. Turn on the notification bells. I try to upload on Mondays and Fridays. I might be throwing a third video in there really soon. I think I might be able to organize my already hectic, crazy day with work and everything. I might be able to throw another one in the mix. But I will see you all in my next video. Bye.